Do you believe it? A top female pilot, Amelia Earhart, may have mysteriously disappeared during the final 7,000 miles of her around-the-world flight. Today, we will unveil the fog surrounding one of the 20th century's most famous aviation mysteries. What really happened to Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, on their final journey over the Pacific? She was the queen who conquered the Atlantic, a global symbol of female courage and independence. Her disappearance not only challenged history but also sparked countless conspiracy theories and miraculous speculations. This video will take you back to the Pacific in 1937, exploring the official accounts, the castaway island theory, mysterious dark versions, and even potential international espionage plots. If you love historical mysteries, legendary flights, and enigmatic events, you absolutely cannot miss this gripping story.
Do you think a top female pilot could make such a fatal mistake as getting lost?
Honestly, it's really hard to believe. After all, we're talking about Amelia Earhart, the queen of transatlantic flight and one of the 20th century's most legendary female pioneers. She didn't just break gender barriers by crossing vast oceans. She became a global symbol of female independence and courage. How could such an experienced pilot suddenly disappear without a trace during the final leg of her around-the-world flight? What makes it even more puzzling is that she was not alone on this mission. She was accompanied by Fred Noonan, a Pacific flight navigation expert, and equipped with the most advanced navigation tools of the time, including radio, celestial navigation, and carefully planned maps. Logically, she shouldn't have gotten lost. This should have been a nearly flawless journey.
But historical records show she really did get lost during the last 7,000 miles of her flight.
On July 2, 1937, when Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan went missing over the Pacific, the U.S. government immediately launched one of the largest search operations in history. The Navy and Coast Guard were fully mobilized, spending millions of dollars covering over 250,000 square miles, roughly the size of the United Kingdom. Every available resource, radar, planes, ships, was deployed in the hope of finding a single clue. The result was shocking. No fuselage was found, no black box, not even a fragment of a wing. It was as if the twin-engine Lockheed Electra, along with its 2 crew members, had simply vanished from the face of the earth.
But over the past 88 years, there have been constant radio sightings and mysterious signals. Doesn't that challenge the official account?
Exactly. This mysterious disappearance continues to shake the nerves of history. On July 2, 1937, when Amelia Earhart and her plane silently vanished over the Pacific, it was as if the world held its breath. It wasn't just the disappearance of a pioneering female aviator. It may have marked the intersection of international espionage, government concealment, and historical truth. Some theories suggest that Earhart was not merely on a round-the-world flight but secretly conducting reconnaissance missions for the U.S. government. Her disappearance might not have been an accident but the result of a conflict with an East Asian power, possibly leading to her capture and secret detention. Reports point to Pacific islands under tense geopolitical conditions at the time, such as the Marshall Islands or Saipan, claiming sightings of a foreign woman resembling an American pilot.
At that time, she and navigator Fred Noonan were flying a Lockheed Electra 10E, departing from New Guinea and aiming for Howland Island in the Central Pacific. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was stationed nearby, ready to provide radio guidance.
Amelia Earhart was not only the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, but also a global symbol of female independence and courage. Her daring achievements broke both gender and technical barriers, becoming an icon and legend in the hearts of many. As they approached Howland Island, fate quietly shifted. A series of unforeseen and deadly anomalies began to unfold. Radio signals fluctuated, preventing accurate location by the ground. Weather changes and cloud cover interfered with celestial navigation, and after a long flight without sighting the island, fuel levels steadily approached critical limits.
What anomalies?
As Amelia Earhart's plane neared Howland Island in the Pacific, a silent crisis was quietly unfolding. According to the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca's logbook, the weather that day was harsh. Earhart repeatedly reported encountering thick cloud cover, which directly interfered with her celestial navigation and visual flight references. Even more critical were the radio communication problems. At one point, Earhart could clearly receive signals from the Itasca, proving her receiver was functioning properly. However, the ground could not reliably receive her voice transmissions. Her messages were intermittent and directionless, making it impossible to pinpoint her location or guide her safely to the island.
So what was her final transmission?
On the morning of July 2, 1937, with only the last leg of their around-the-world flight remaining, Amelia Earhart and navigator Fred Noonan were heading toward Howland Island, a small island in the Central Pacific. This island was supposed to be a refueling stop and a critical waypoint, but it instead became the beginning of a mystery. According to the Itasca's log, at 7:42 a.m., Earhart calmly transmitted via radio, "We must be over you but cannot see you. Fuel is running low, cannot communicate by radio." On the surface, the message seemed calm, but it masked two fatal dilemmas.
What happened next?
On the morning of July 2, 1937, the Pacific horizon was silent, yet radio waves carried one of the most intriguing messages in human history. Around 8:43 a.m., the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca received Earhart's last clear voice transmission. "We are flying along the 157 to 337 course line. Will repeat message on 6,211 kilocycles." This brief transmission became the final voice she left to the world. Though concise, it was significant, showing that she was still attempting navigation corrections and trying to maintain contact with the Itasca. The 157 to 337 course line indicated that they were likely attempting to search for Howland Island along that line.
And what about the official search?
On July 2, 1937, when Earhart's final transmission went silent over the Pacific, the United States immediately launched one of the largest search and rescue operations in history. From July 2 to July 18, the U.S. Navy and Coast Guard mobilized ships, aircraft, and patrol boats to sweep the vast area where the plane might have gone down, covering over 250,000 square miles. Yet, after this 18-day costly operation, all that remained was the silent sea and unsolved questions. Even in the areas considered most likely for a crash, near Howland Island, rescue teams found no wreckage, no oil slicks, no life-saving equipment, not even a single piece of metal debris.
That's strange. How could such a thorough search yield absolutely nothing?
Amelia Earhart's disappearance remains one of the most controversial aviation mysteries of the 20th century. Although the official conclusion was fuel exhaustion leading to a crash at sea, for decades historians and researchers have questioned whether that explanation is overly simplistic. With no wreckage and no physical evidence, another theory has drawn increasing attention: the castaway theory. This theory suggests that Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, may not have immediately crashed into the ocean, but instead made an emergency landing on the remote Nikumaroro Island, in the South Pacific. The island, now part of the Republic of Kiribati, lies about 640 kilometers southeast of Howland Island. That time, it was a sparsely inhabited British colony.
What evidence supports this idea?
Just when people thought Amelia Earhart's disappearance could only mean a crash at sea, a forgotten fragment of history quietly surfaced years later. In 1940, a British colonial officer stationed in the Pacific conducted a survey on Nikumaroro Island and stumbled upon a series of unusual findings: a partial human skeleton, fragments of a woman's shoe, and an empty bottle. These objects seemed ordinary, yet they closely matched Earhart's lifestyle and equipment. The shoe fragments were similar to the type she was known to wear, and the bottle matched the alcohol-based antiseptic supplies often carried by pilots of the era. Even more unsettling, analysis at the time suggested the bones belonged to a tall, slender woman. Although limited equipment prevented definitive identification, the details were strikingly consistent with Earhart, a connection that is difficult to ignore.
Then why is this theory still controversial?
Castaway theory, the idea that Amelia Earhart may have crash-landed and briefly survived on Nikumaroro Island, has drawn widespread attention, but it also faces many doubts and counterarguments. The artifacts discovered on the island in 1940, including bones and women's belongings, initially appeared to support the possibility that she stayed there. However, scientific analysis later delivered a surprising twist. The bones that were thought to belong to a woman were determined to be male, casting a shadow of doubt over the entire theory. Even more puzzling is the fact that just a week after Earhart's disappearance, the U.S. Navy quickly dispatched aircraft to conduct aerial searches over Nikumaroro Island and its surrounding waters. The mission included looking for wreckage and possible distress signals, yet the results came back empty. If Earhart had truly been stranded there, why didn't she ignite any signal fires to attract rescue? This glaring absence became a fatal weakness of the castaway theory.
Besides the castaway theory, are there other explanations?
Earhart's disappearance has always been shrouded in layers of mystery. Beyond the castaway theory, there exists a far darker version. According to this account, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan may have veered off course and crash-landed in Japanese-controlled territory, where they were allegedly captured by the Japanese military and possibly executed. Multiple anonymous witnesses have claimed to have seen figures resembling Earhart and her companion on Saipan or the Marshall Islands, as well as reports of wreckage matching her plane. Such testimonies give this darker version a sense of plausibility, raising doubts about the official explanation of fuel exhaustion and a crash at sea. What's even more shocking is the claim that U.S. military officials may have issued secret orders to destroy aircraft wreckage that could have served as critical evidence, an act meant to bury the truth. True, this would place Earhart's disappearance squarely within the shadows of international espionage and military secrecy.
Does this mean that Earhart became a pawn in the game of national interests?
A more recent theory suggests that her journey may not have been merely an adventurous flight, but rather a secret mission commissioned by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to gather intelligence on Japanese military installations in the Pacific. If this speculation is true, it would explain why both the U.S. and Japan remained silent at the time, and it would reveal the political and military intrigues behind Earhart's disappearance. As a renowned aviator, she possessed exceptional navigational skills and vast experience, making her an ideal candidate for carrying out a high-risk covert operation.
Is there any hard evidence for this theory?
Most of these claims lack concrete evidence. The majority of eyewitness testimonies surfaced many years after the incident, and with the passage of time, memories inevitably became blurred or biased. Furthermore, no Japanese official records have ever been found to corroborate this account, leaving the theory on fragile ground. Aviation experts also point out that, given the flight technology and fuel limitations of the era, it would have been highly improbable for Earhart's plane to deviate hundreds of miles off course into Japanese-controlled territory. While navigation in those days was indeed challenging, such a major deviation was not something that could easily happen by accident.
So, does that mean the official lost at sea theory is the most reliable?
At the time, pilots relied mainly on sextants and celestial navigation for transoceanic flights. But around Howland Island, heavy cloud cover obscured the stars, making it impossible to correct their course precisely. As a result, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan could not determine their exact position. On top of that, the Electra's maximum range was nearly equal to the actual distance of the flight, so running out of fuel was only a matter of time. This combination of unfavorable conditions wove together a tragic fate.
In other words, neither the castaway theory nor the capture theory can be fully proven.
Many years have passed, yet the Pacific winds still whisper softly, as if guarding the final secret hidden beneath the waves. Amelia Earhart's disappearance has not only become one of history's most baffling mysteries, but also a mirror reflecting the human spirit. shows our endless curiosity about the unknown and our relentless determination never to give up in the pursuit of truth.
So, which fate do you believe she ultimately met?
That depends on whether you prefer to believe in miracles or conspiracies. Some believe that she and Noonan struggled to survive on Nikumaroro Island, sending faint distress signals with small signal fires. It became a tale of courage and willpower, a story where a spark of hope was kindled in the depths of despair. Imagining them enduring hardship on a deserted island, facing the unknown and loneliness, yet still refusing to give up that final glimmer of life, such a miracle inspires awe.
And what about those scattered radio signals? Do they prove the castaway theory?
At least 57 of the signals were considered credible, recorded from places as far apart as Florida and Canada. They suggested that the plane may have landed on solid ground and that the radio could be intermittently powered on. However, the signals were brief and irregular, making it impossible to verify continuity or origin.
So, we can never be sure.
The official lost at sea theory from both a physics and aviation standpoint is undoubtedly the most realistic explanation. The navigation technology and fuel limitations of the time made it highly likely they ran out of fuel near their target and plunged into the Pacific. Yet, this seemingly rational conclusion fails to address several critical questions. Why did radio communication suddenly cease? Why, despite weeks of extensive searching, was not a single piece of wreckage ever found? These unresolved mysteries make the official account appear incomplete and fragile.
How do you think the audience should view this mystery?
With a case as enigmatic as this, everyone forms their own interpretation. Some believe she and Noonan struggled to survive on Nikumaroro Island. Others insist they were captured by the Japanese and became pawns in the shadows of World War II. Still others support the official lost-at-sea explanation, convinced they simply ran out of fuel and tragically plunged into the depths of the Pacific. No matter which version you choose, each carries layers of unsolved mystery and emotional weight. Approaching this story with curiosity is not only a way of honoring history but also an invitation to a feast of intellect and imagination.
And which possibility would you choose personally?
Among the many theories, I lean toward the castaway theory. Radio transmission records from her final hours suggest the plane did not crash immediately but may have made a forced landing near Nikumaroro. This idea is partly supported by physical evidence as well. British colonial officers in the 1940s reported finding fragments on the island, including a woman's shoe sole, scraps of aluminum, and other debris possibly linked to Earhart. To me, these fragments whisper a story of survival on a desolate island.
What do you hope the audience will take away after watching this film?
Learning about Earhart shouldn't just stop at collecting facts. It's about immersing ourselves in her spirit, the courage to face hardship without retreat, and the wisdom to keep seeking truth amid uncertainty. That passion and determination belong not only to the past but also inspire us in how we confront the unknown today.
Finally, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience?
Whatever theory you believe, stay curious and think through every detail. Remember to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and leave a comment with your thoughts, and share this program with your friends. Let's enjoy these mysterious stories together.